Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Low Heat, and in this video I'm going to be showing you two methods of using the SP-404 as an external effect in Ableton Live. The first one has the advantage that it doesn't require a separate audio interface because we're going to be using the actual 404 Mark II as one. And the second method does require an audio interface with two pairs of stereo outputs, and I'm going to show you the advantage of this approach when we get to it later in the video. So stick around and let's dive right into it. And so the first method when we're using the SP as an audio interface is pretty simple. We just need to go into our Ableton Live preferences and set the SP-404 as an input and output device, essentially making it our audio interface. A quick word for Windows users, by the way, you may need to find an additional ASIO driver like ASIO for All or FL ASIO. I think it's also a good option for interfaces that don't have their own ASIO driver. I checked at Roland's website and they don't seem to have an ASIO driver made specifically for the SP-404, so you need this driver in order to get a good latency performance on Windows, and Mac users don't need to worry about this. And so just by doing this, the sound is automatically routed through the effects of the 404. We just need to enable the external source. And so when we play our beat, it should come through the 404. And if we enable the effects, we're gonna run it through the effects. Super simple, and as you can see, the external source button was flashing red, so it's kind of overloading, so we can turn down our master track a bit in order to prevent the clipping, but it's not really audible distortion unless we clip it too hard. And so in order to record this, we just create a new audio track. External in should be set to channels 1 and 2. By the way, if you don't see this middle section, it's enabled by the I/O button down here. So we just record enable our track. Make sure not to enable the monitoring, so this thing should be set to off. Otherwise you will get some feedback because you're feeding the inputs directly to the output of the audio interface, that is the SP-404 in this case. And so we just press record and we can record our effect performance over our beat. Oh, and if you find this video useful, hit the like button down there. It's a great way to support the channel, and I also wanted to let you know that I've got an Ableton Live effects track called 404 XL, and it gives you the essence of some of the SP effects as a native Ableton device. So instead of messing around with setting up the actual SP, you can just drag and drop it into your project and you're ready to go. On to the second method now. And so this was super easy, and the advantage was that we didn't need a separate audio interface. However, the downside of this method is that we can only use it on our master track in our beat, and we cannot process different separate tracks through the 404 using this method. To process different tracks, we need to use our audio interface, and this is the advantage of the second method. As I mentioned in the beginning, this method would require an audio interface that has at least 4 mono outputs or 2 stereo outputs. We don't really need more than a single stereo input, however. 2 in, 4 out interface should be enough for this purpose. Don't ask me if you can do it with just 2 outputs. You will need 1 pair of outputs to go to your speakers or to your headphones, and the other pair is the one that will enable you to get the signal out of the DAW and into the 404. In this case, I'm using my Moto M4, and so the connection goes like this. Outputs 3 and 4 from my audio interface go into the input of the SP-404 Mark II, and the output, the line out of the SP, goes into whatever input you have available. I'm using inputs 3 and 4, but you can use 1 and 2 as well. Doesn't really matter. Then in the Ableton settings, we need to obviously have our interface as an audio input and output device. make sure whatever inputs you're going to be using, that they are enabled in the input and output configuration. If they are not highlighted in yellow here, they are not enabled. So make sure your outputs 3 and 4 are enabled and accessible. With this method, of course, we can also process our master track. There is no problem, but since I already did that, I'm gonna use it just on my drums. So I'm just gonna drag the external audio effect onto my drums. And the audio 2 setting should be set to outputs 3 and 4, basically the outputs that are connected to your SP-404 and not the ones that are connected to your speakers, otherwise you will get feedback. And audio from, basically you choose the inputs on your audio interface where you have the output of the SP connected. So in my case, these are 3 and 4. So if we routed the signal to the SP-404, we need to turn external source on. And if it flashes red, we need to turn down the gain in the audio 2 section of the external audio effect. And so we can now hear that only the drums are routed through the effects. And so in order to record our effect performance, we need to set the input of this track that we're going to be recording to the track that we have the external effect device loaded on. In this case, the drums, or if it's on the master track, select the master or whatever track you have the external effect device loaded on. So I'm going to choose the drums in this case, and I'm going to record my effect performance. And so now that I've recorded the drums, I can turn the external audio effect off, and here are my drums affected by the SP. And also a quick plug for my latest sample pack called The Heat, which is great food for any sampler, including the 404 Mark II. And it contains everything from melodic compositions and chord progressions to drum hits, basses, synths, and essentially everything you need to make a beat. And so that's all you need to know for using the SP-404 Mark II as an external effect. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below and I will see you in the next video.